Okay, example 13. We've got here root 2 times cos 2 times t plus pi over 2 is equal to 1. Okay, again, yeah, this is looking a bit more complicated, isn't it? Okay, but when we break it down, it's not that hard. Okay, so the important thing to remember is this part here is all part of this cosine bit. So if I just, it may or may not have brackets around it in any question. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is just put that around there like that. So all of this part here belongs to the cos bit. Okay. So what we're going to do is rearrange. So then we write it as cos 2t plus pi over 2 is equal to 1 over root 2. Because that's root 2 times this, we need to bring this root 2 over to the other side, and we do that by dividing. Okay, so now this is in that form we wanted, where it's just cos of the angle is equal to some number. Okay, and here's our domain. T is between 0 and pi. So it's not even actually all the way around the unit circle as far as this part here is concerned. However, notice that this part here is still being multiplied by this 2. Okay, it's 2 times this bit, the t and the plus pi over 2. So if we were to expand this, we'd have 2t plus pi, all in brackets. Okay, and because the t, our unknown, is being multiplied by the 2, we need to multiply these endpoints of the domain by 2. So we're looking at 0 times 2, which is 0, to 2 pi, okay, the pi times 2. So effectively, we will be winding once around the unit circle, and so we would expect 2 solutions. Okay, so our unit circle, a little bit off center there. Notice cos of our unknown angle here is equal to positive 1 over root 2, so we're looking at, just not coping with that. Okay, first and fourth quadrants. Cos is positive in the first and fourth. So we're going to have just our first quadrant solution, so basic angle, but we're also going to have our solution here in the fourth quadrant, which would be found by going 2 pi minus our basic angle theta. And our basic angle is going to be found, let's look, 1 over root 2 on our information sheet. 1 over root 2 is the same as root 2 over 2, which is pi on 4. So our basic angle is pi on 4. So the first thing we're doing then is we're solving for this whole bit in here. Okay, so 2 times t plus pi over 2 is equal to, our first solution comes from this basic angle theta, so that's pi on 4. And our second solution, 2 pi minus pi on 4. Okay, that is simplified to pi over 4, and that's 8 pi on 4 minus 1 pi over 4, so that's 7 pi on 4. And now we need to solve for t, okay? So the first thing we'll do is we'll get rid of the 2, so we divide both sides by 2. So that's t plus pi over 2. Yeah, whoops. Need to put that back there, because that's that line. The next line is t plus pi over 2. That's equal to pi over 8. And 7 pi over 8. And then t will be found by subtracting pi over 2 from both of these. Okay, pi over 8 minus pi over 2. Pi over 2 is the same as 4 pi over 8. So that's pi over 8 minus 4 pi over 8. That's negative 3 pi over 8. And then we've got 7 pi over 8 minus 4 pi over 8, which is 3 pi over 8. Now, what we need to look at here is, notice our domain is from 0 to pi. This one here falls outside that domain. So that is actually not one of the solutions. Okay, 3 pi over 8 is within, so that's okay. But what we need to do, we still would expect there to be two solutions. So what we should do is we need to wind around again and check to make sure that we have all the solutions. So if we were to do that again, okay, so we went from 0 to 2 pi, our next solution would be 2 pi plus theta. And then the next one would be 4 pi minus theta. We wouldn't expect there to be a solution here, because we're just going, there should just be one other solution, okay, 2 in total. So then 2 pi plus theta, so what I'm going to do then is add some extras here. 2 pi plus pi over 4, which then gets to 8 pi over 4 plus 1 pi over 4, which is 9 pi over 4. And then when we divide that by 2, that's 9 pi over 8. And then subtracting our pi over 2. So that's 9 pi over 8 minus 4 pi over 8, which is going to be 5 pi over 8. Okay, so that's then our other solution. Okay, so our two solutions are these. So this is sort of, you can become unstuck. You just always need to make sure that your solutions are within your domain. Now, if we were to have a look at here, 4 pi, that would take us to 4 pi, which is 16, that's 17 pi over 4. And then 17 pi over 4, that'd be 17 pi over 8. And 17 minus 4 would be 13 pi over 8. That's outside the domain. Okay, so that one there is definitely going to be outside as well. And that's okay. We expect there to be two solutions only, and that's what there is.